You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. The leader in talk radio on the internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
I'm in Wenz World, and I love it.
Wenz World? What the heck is that?
For me, it almost tastes like a watermelon Jolly Rancher on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
You like those watermelon Jolly Ranchers back in the day? That's right.
Well, the big question is, why do some people act so impulsively?
Oh my God, is my husband going to lose his member? I mean, he can't function without his Jimmy. Come on.
I think something good is going to happen.
People don't notice, but The Rock had breast surgery.
They're literally talking about getting rid of due process.
For proving to scientist skeptics that agent beyond space and time must be a personal being.
Welcome to Wenz World. Here we go.
We're getting boozy with the beer guy, Aaron, and the Wenz, right here in Wenz World.
We are back and getting boozy with the beer guy, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, at beer guy Aaron on the Twitter sphere.
That's me.
And of course, him and his partner Tim Dennis rocking and rolling every Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. on AM 920 The Answer, Beer Guys Radio, and of course on demand at beerguysradio.com. So it is summer.
It is.
And I am sweating.
Aren't we all? It's brutal out there. I think summer came about 6 weeks early here, but of course it is Georgia, so that's what happens.
As I sit by the pool and let my underboob sweat collect, I'm wondering what the best kind of summer beer is and what makes a good summer beer in your opinion.
All right, everyone has their own different opinions, but for me, it's got to be light, it's got to be refreshing, it's got to be fairly low in alcohol, so a low ABV. I'm talking about 4 to 5%, so I can have more than one. So, we're talking about definitely not like a big porter, a big stout, a big double IPA. That's something that really is not going to quench my thirst, especially in the heat of summer by the pool, right? You want something a little bit on the refreshing and light side, and I've got the perfect beer for you that you have probably never heard of.
Ooh, do tell.
It's called a Goza.
Goza.
Goza, exactly. It's spelled G-O-S-E. It's a German-style beer, and it is a wheat beer. But what makes it different is that it's basically out of Leipzig, Germany, and the water content there is very minerally and very salty. So what they did is they basically brewed this wheat beer very, very low in hops, and they've got a nice dryness and spice because they used ground coriander seeds and the addition of salt in it, like I said. And it's also basically brewed with lactic acid, which is a different type of fermentation, and it's going to make it very sour. Now, what people will do is they'll also kind of put some different types of fruits and flavorings in it to kind of calm that tartness down. But it's only about 4 to 5% ABV, so very low in alcohol. And like I said, it's just crisp, it's refreshing, it's a really, really nice beer. In fact, you told me the other day that you actually had one, might not even known about it. It's Creature Comforts Tritonia is a local one, and you had that one. It was cucumber and lime. It's absolutely delicious. And like I said, you usually get, when you first drink a Goza, a little bit of saltiness in the front, and then you kind of get the fruit in the back. And so it's an interesting mix. It's not something that, like a lemonade or something that's going to be like a Coke or something that's very sweet and very syrupy. Right. It's going to be light, it's going to be crisp, it's going to be dry, and just a really nice, refreshing beer. So Creature Comforts Tritonia, like I said, that's probably one of my favorites that's out here locally. Terrapin also makes a watermelon Goza as well, which is basically exactly what you'd think of it as. A great watermelon. It actually, for me, it almost tastes like a watermelon Jolly Rancher on the back end. Oh,
yeah.
You like those watermelon Jolly Ranchers back in the day? That's right. Westbrook out of South Carolina, they make a Goza, one of the highest ranked in the country, actually. And that's pretty easy to find around the local bottle shops. So check that one out. Also, another one by a local brewery called Second Self. Actually, we have them on the show this week, so if you missed the show, check out the podcast at beerguysradio.com. You can listen to the guys from Second Self. They've got one of the best names of beers I've ever seen, which is called Maverick and Goza. So Top Gun reference if you haven't figured that one out.
Now, are most or all of these available in the cans? Because you know what, pools love the cans, not the bottle.
Exactly. And then all of them basically are available in cans, with the exception of the Creature Comforts Tritonia. That's only available on draft, as far as I know. I've not seen it on cans, and I don't think there's any plans to do it. But that second self, Maverick and Goza, Terrapin Watermelon Goza, and the Westbrook Goza, definitely out there. There are a few other ones. Anderson Valley out of California makes some really nice Gozas as well. But like I said, you can pick up a nice six-pack cans and crush them, and you'll be a happy person this summer.
And I bet you could find a lot of these selections at Truck and Tap, right?
Truck and Tap will have some Gozas on tap as well. Most any good beer bar will have a few of them, and really it's a nice introduction to someone who maybe likes a champagne or maybe likes wine as opposed to a beer. Introduce them to a Goza, and they might be change their minds about what beer should taste like.
Oh, so good. As always, Aaron, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Right. So what are you doing Monday morning at 1 a.m.? For those of you who said sleep, wrong. You're going to get up and listen to my main man, Marquis A. Davis 1. You may know him from the male soap opera Moment, a brand new show entitled Lima Charlie Radio. That is loud and clear for all you civvies out there, such as myself. Welcome back to Wenz World, Marquis.
Hey.
So, Marquis, give us a sneak peek as to what we can expect from Lima Charlie Radio.
Well, Lima Charlie Radio is really here just to serve those who have served. I'm a veteran myself, so I want to reach back out because when I got out of the military, I didn't have that help. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have resources. I didn't know anyone. I was kind of just winging it. So this show is to give veterans, service members, active duty, anybody in any branch of military life, the sources and resources they need to help transition into civilian life.
What a fantastic idea, an idea to give back to those who have served us and our families. When can people listen to your show, Marquis?
We'll be on Mondays at 1 a.m. in the morning on AM 920, The Answer.
And of course, 24/7, 365.25 on SoundCloud.com. Up in the search bar, Lima Charlie, LIMACHARLIE Radio. Marquis, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Santa Claus, and you are in Wenz World.
This is Larry WACHS of the world-famous WACHS Modcast, Atlanta's #1 smartphone radio show on iTunes and Google Play. But that's nothing compared to Wenz World.
Larry WACHS, man, I can't wait till you get back on full-time.
There's one. I can tell them, hey, I got one.
Well, of course you'd have one. You'd have me and Prodigy at least, and definitely Aaron. Mm-hmm. That's 3.
That's 3.
Plus everybody they know.
I've just tripled my audience in 3 seconds.
There you go, man.
Yeah. I think something good is going to happen real soon.
I know something's good is going to happen. You are in the mix, man.
Yeah.
You're like the cake mix. No eggs needed. Like, it comes with the eggs and the flour and all that. Just give it the love and the time, throw it in the oven, and watch what comes out. Something delicious and moist and ready to be consumed.
Oh, I love when you call me delicious and moist. Because I am delicious and somewhat moist. I never like to be dry.
I just want to pick your brain about what I can learn from you.
Over the years, what have you think about? I mean,
yeah, okay.
What have you learned from listening to me? Or
I've learned to just say what you think. It may be unpopular. It may be something that I have to apologize for. But I always end up having to apologize to myself at the end of the day if I don't tell people how I really feel and how they encouraged me to feel. And not to get all super sensitive, but I think it's important that we do tell people what's on our minds. And you, in your show, along with your partners back in the day, really helped me to understand that and flesh that out. I remember being in Rhubarb's class at KSU, and Rodney Ho came in as a guest lecturer.
Is that right?
Yeah, he did.
Mind-blowing.
And he came in, and I raised my hand. I mentioned the regular guys. Love to one day have a show and be somewhat a shell of who they are. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, you should definitely shoot higher than that. I about fainted.
So he disparaged us.
Maybe he was joking. I'm going to believe the best.
No, I don't think so. I think what he meant was he didn't like our content.
Maybe.
He just thought it was lowbrow.
For somebody to think it's lowbrow is basically them saying that they are too highbrow to understand the common man's plight.
Well, I mean, you got to learn to brush that off. I've learned not to argue with people anymore. They're entitled to their opinions. Just listen to their opinion. Just because somebody invites you to an argument doesn't mean you have to attend.
Right.
And I've heard millions of times they're never going to last. Our own sales staff, when we first came, said they're never going to last, and underestimated all my career.
5, 4,
3, 2, 1.
Well, that was awkward. So Rebecca, a 38-year-old man just outside of Bangkok, was sitting on the toilet doing his business. All of a sudden, a 10-foot python comes up through the toilet and attaches himself to, well, the man's member. I can't imagine the thoughts that went through his mind and his wife's mind. I mean, they both lose equally in this situation if things don't go well. So their first thought was, hey, we need help. We got to call the neighbor. Can you imagine how that phone call went?
Ring, ring. Hello. Yes, I'm going to need some help over here. My husband got his penis bitten off by a python. I'm going to need your help over here to come dislodge it.
A minute later, the neighbor arrived. All three of them worked together to separate the snake's jaw from the man's junk. A lot of blood was lost, so naturally they called the authorities to come help out. The authorities came and finally got the snake out from the pipe. This snake is literally every bit of 10 feet. It's massive. Now, Rebecca, if you were this man's wife, what would be going on in your mind right now?
Well, aside from trying to keep from laughing, I probably would be thinking, oh my God, is my husband going to lose his member? I mean, he can't function without his Jimmy. Come on.
Yeah, that's pretty much a romance killer from there on out. What's worse is that nowadays anything that happens is noticed around the globe. I mean, this happened in Thailand, and we know about it here in America. And even more awkward is that the man's picture is all over the web. Thankfully for him, I can't even pronounce it, Adaporn Bunmakchi. Forgive me, I butchered the heck out of that name. But he is thankfully going to survive, and his Adaporn Jr. is going to survive. He's going to need some stitches, but he's going to make a recovery. Thank God. You know what? I think it's safe to say that this man will forever squat rather than sit. And it may go without saying, but that was awkward.
Break!
Friends, can faith and science mingle? It seems as if the theory of the Big Bang and the notion of creation always seem to be at odds with each other. But on the other end of this break, we're going to find out how the Big Bang and creation actually worked in tandem with astrophysicist, astronomer, and author Dr. Hugh Ross. Back in 2 minutes with Weird Science.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Follow Joey on Twitter at @producer_Joey.
It's always fantastic to have return visitors to Wenz World, this time with author, astronomer, and astrophysicist Dr. Hugh Ross. Welcome back to the show, Hugh. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Dr. Ross, you're very familiar with the European Organization for Nuclear Research, better known as CERN.
Yes.
Now, let me put my tinfoil hat on here for a second and say that there are some people that are concerned with what they are doing at CERN as it pertains to particle physics. What do you think about that?
It's French. It's referring to the gigantic particle accelerator that is situated in Switzerland and France.
Right.
And there's been a lot of speculation that this is going to produce something supernaturally weird, that they're going to actually make a black hole. It's going to suck the whole universe up, or the planet Earth is going to be destroyed, or they're going to actually make connections with something supernatural. One way to dispel all that is that we astronomers for decades have been studying sources in the universe where the energy density is much higher than what we can duplicate in the CERN particle accelerator. So I just encourage people, no worries. We've already checked that out. Nothing weird happens when we observe these high energy density sources in the universe. And so let's encourage the CERN people to do their work, because it's the highest thing we've ever made in the laboratory in terms of energy densities. I think some phenomenal discoveries are going to come out. But rest assured, they're not going to be able to make a black hole. It's not going to suck up the Earth. It's not going to be the end of humanity.
Do you feel like it could serve as a spiritual portal?
I don't think so, because, they're not doing anything occult. It could be some occult physicists that are working there. After all, there's thousands of them that work at that facility. So there could be something going on in a lab there. Mm-hmm. But as far as the instrument itself, hey, it's simply an instrument investigating the physics of particles. And it's going to actually tell us some insights about the universe. And so I'm excited about it. And as an astronomer, what's exciting to me is integrating what they're discovering in their particle accelerator with what we astronomers are seeing in high energy density sources in our galaxy and in other galaxies and quasars. Because, it's two different ways of looking at the same phenomena. So, yeah, I'm expecting some really exciting breakthroughs.
So for the common man such as myself, how could this benefit humanity?
Well, I think it's going to, I'm excited as a Christian and as an astrophysicist, because I see both CERN and the complementary studies in astrophysics as showing us design that we've never been able to see before. We're uncovering phenomenal fine-tuning design, not only at the particle physics level, but at the scale of the entire universe. And that's what's remarkable about this CERN instrument, is it's actually showing us what conditions in the early universe were like. So I think, for example, the combination of astrophysics and particle physics is going to reveal to us the world of exotic dark matter, particles that don't interact well with light.
Wow.
There's 6 times as much exotic dark matter as there's ordinary dark matter. And I'm convinced that ongoing research is going to reveal to us a whole new level of fine-tuning design arguments, which I'm excited about exploiting for proving to scientist skeptics this agent beyond space and time must be a personal being, because only a personal being is capable of exquisite fine-tuning design at every level that we can observe.
Now, as we wrap things up with Dr. Hugh Ross, astronomer and astrophysicist, as well as author of the book Lights in the Sky and Little Green Men, he's taken a rational Christian look at UFOs and extraterrestrials. You brought up the beginnings, right, and what they're doing with this project CERN, trying to figure out, hey, how did it start? Can you go into just a little bit of detail about how the idea of creation and the Big Bang are not mutually exclusive?
Well, that's one big factor of my coming to faith in Jesus Christ, was as a teenager going through the Old Testament and seeing that all the fundamentals of Big Bang cosmology were taught thousands of years before any astronomer even had a hint that we live for an example and expand the universe. 11 places in the Bible I see explicit statements that the universe expands from a space-time beginning. You see that it also claims that it expands under laws of physics that don't change, or one of those laws is a pervasive law of decay. As a 17-year-old reading the Bible seriously for the first time, I realized that all those biblical statements are correct, then the universe must get colder and colder as it gets older and older in a highly predictable way. And now we got measurements in astronomy that demonstrate that what the Bible predicted thousands of years ago is numerically accurate. The universe indeed is being observed to get colder and colder in exactly the way the Bible predicted.
Now, how do you see that in light of claims of global warming worldwide?
Well, global warming is what's happening with the Earth's atmosphere, and so it's trapping more of the sun's heat. It's a relatively short-term effect. The cooling of the universe takes place over billions of years. So, for example, in the next billion years, the cooling of the universe is going to be barely measurable. We're talking it's going to cool by about 1/100 of a degree in the next 500 million years. So that's not much of a change.
Right.
A bigger change is what's going to happen to the sun. The sun gets brighter and brighter as it continues to fuse hydrogen to helium in its core. So in just 10 million years, the sun will be so bright that photosynthesis will no longer be able to operate on the face of the earth, which means all animal life will cease to exist. So that's a little shorter term. But global warming is something where, for example, what we've noticed in all the previous ice ages of the current ice age cycle, whenever the global mean temperature rises to 3 degrees centigrade above where it is now, we drop quickly into an ice age. And that could happen if we melt the polar ice cap, for example.
What do you think about the theory of flat Earth? Now, a lot of people are kind of looking back at that as not being as dumb as it sounds on its face. So what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's kind of a hoax because I'm seeing that all over the web where there's these posts of, hey, here's evidence that the world is really flat. And, it's fairly arcane stuff for lay people. So a lot of what I do on my Facebook and Twitter page is basically help lay people understand why these new arguments for a flat Earth are bogus. And so it's a good way for me just to educate people on the basic physics. But one reason why we can discount the flat Earth hypothesis, over the past 300 years, the case for the flat Earth creationist model has gotten progressively more and more absurd. And I think that's a good analogy for what's happening in the atheist camp. As atheist scientists try to defend the idea that there's no God behind the universe, their appeals are getting progressively more and more absurd. We can never prove anything away absolutely. I tell atheist friends of mine, I don't have absolute proof my wife exists, but I got a very high probability of her existence through my experiments and observations.
Yeah.
Likewise, I would argue the case for God is even stronger.
Wow.
It's not absolute, but it's adequate.
Man, that is such good stuff. Of course, you can keep the conversation going on Twitter. Follow Dr. Hugh Ross, astronomer and astrophysicist, at RTB_H Ross. And of course, RTB standing for Reasons to Believe. Also, check out his website, www.reasons.org. There you can find a little bit about what Dr. Ross and his associates are doing, events, education. You can also buy some really cool stuff. Their books, DVDs, devotional studies. I mean, you name it, they have it there. Dr. Ross, I got to say, this has been one of the more fascinating interviews I've ever conducted, and I feel grateful that you've taken the time to carve out today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Is there a gene that separates risk takers from the cautionary? On the other end of this break, we're speaking with author Kate Sukel about that very subject. Stay with us.
It's who you are.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're in Wenz World.
Friends, welcome back to Wenz World. It's a pleasure to have resident author Kate Sukel back with us. How are you, Kate?
I am very well, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So yesterday I was by the pool reading your book, The Art of Risk, available wherever books are sold. And I was focused on this one part. It's early on, I think the first or second chapter, where it talks about how some people are intrinsically more likely to take risks than others. Now, I want to kind of pick your brain about why some people jump headfirst into the deep end and how others kind of just take the stairs down into the water. And possibly what role the gene pool has to play in that.
Right. So, of course, as we learn more about DNA, scientists have been on the search for genes that explain all kinds of things. And, of course, that's morphed, it started with disease states and medicine, and that's morphed into behavior. And so the big question is, why do some people act so impulsively? Why do some people, and a lot of this has come from, why do some people end up in jail, addicted to drugs, doing criminal acts, violent, etc.? And so a lot of that started there. But there seems to be certain genes that act on this decision-making circuit on the brain, which means that you're a lot more likely to pump the gas, so to speak, fly by the seat of your pants than to take a step back and say, wait a minute, maybe the stairs would be a better option. So a few of those genes of interest, probably the most widely studied is one called DRD4, and it's a dopamine receptor gene. And scientists have found that if you have a certain variant called the 7R+, which means that you have a bunch of repeats in a certain section of this gene, you're much more likely to be sexually promiscuous and be involved in more, risky one-night stand type sexual behaviors. You are more likely to bet really big on a monetary lottery task. You are much more likely to go in for high bids on bridge. I don't know why they're studying bridge. I guess somebody, but again, my grandma used to play bridge and they were pretty cutthroat about it. So, but they've also linked it to people who have this variant. They're much more likely, if they play extreme sports like snowboarding or skateboarding, they're much more quick to get back up after being injured and start to do those sports again. So that's pretty fascinating that across all these different things, just having this one genetic variant means that you're much more likely to behave in this risky manner.
Now, based on your research, who are some notable names that we may recognize who has this variation?
I don't know. I think, and that's the really interesting part of it because, as part of this, I got tested for DRD4, and I will tell you that Justin Garcia, who's one of the neuroscientists, or he's actually a cultural anthropologist who works on this kind of stuff, he was convinced I was going to come back as a 7R+. I did not.
Interesting.
In fact, everybody was shocked. They're like, wait a minute. What's going wrong here? My mother just sat there. She's like, did you tell them about all the stupid things you used to do when you were younger, Kate? And I was like, no, Mom. Because this is really the important thing. A gene, we talk about genes like it's the risk-taking gene or the intelligence gene or the weight gene or what have you. But genes, what they do is they code for a protein. And I know that it's not as interesting or as sexy as saying, oh, it's the warrior gene.
Right.
But what's really interesting is that all of these genes have a very small contribution to behavior. And, of course, it's going to be contributions of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of different genes that make those behaviors different. But over time, isn't it amazing that such a small contribution can lead to such very different lives lived?
Yeah.
And that is fascinating. And, it's a huge puzzle for scientists to sort out. So I think that certainly what the science shows is there are some people out there that are much more likely to want to push the envelope. They like more stimulation in their lives. They're going to be the people that go for extreme sports. They're going to have the higher stress jobs. They may just need that kind of stimulation and come home and just, pick a fight with their spouse every day so they can have that kind of level of stimulation in life. And some of us don't need that much to get going. And that's going to influence the way that we make decisions and, of course, as such, how we take risks.
Wow, that is fascinating stuff. Again, if you're just joining us, I am with author Kate Sukel. She wrote a fascinating book. It's called The Art of Risk. It's a National Geographic book, and this is actually part of the Summer of Risk Twitter campaign. Can you go into a little bit more about that?
Sure. So one of the really fascinating things, actually the best thing about me about writing this book is as I've gone around to bookstores and universities talking about it, people have come up to me and said, once I read this, I was inspired to take a few more risks, to take a leap. And these aren't big risks. It's not like they're coming up to me and saying, I'm going to start drag racing or, I'm going to go knock off the Circle K. What they're saying is, I want to push the envelope. I want to get out of my comfort zone. And so people have said that they, got up the courage to ask to take the lead on a project at work, that they're going back to school to get a Master of Fine Arts. One woman even told me that she plans to start knitting with the expensive yarn. And you may think, okay, big deal, right? But the thing is, this is pushing the edge of your performance ability. This is using uncertainty and risk to your advantage to get better at something that you want to get better at, to build your skills, to have more fun, and to get where you want to go. So National Geographic and I partnered on this Summer of Risk, #Summer of Risk campaign, and we're just asking you to throw up a selfie. Show us what smart, seasoned risk that you're going to take this summer. And some of the things that have come up so far, there's a great shot of a guy who's swimming with some sharks, I think very safely. Another guy who's planning to do a rattlesnake safari so he can show his kids rattlesnakes, which I think is fun. But then you also have, my kids wanted to put one up, and they put up a picture of them trying snuba diving. So it's not scuba diving, it's just, and they were a little afraid about, going all the way under the water, but they did it. They rocked it. And then that was their start of their Summer of Risk. So I'd love to see yours. So all you have to do is on Facebook or Twitter, throw up a picture, tell us about the smart season risk you're going to take this summer, and then tag your location and put up #Summer of Risk. Our favorites will be shared on the National Geographic Facebook page, and 5 lucky participants will win a National Geographic Summer Reads prize pack, which has some awesome books in it.
Oh, that is so cool. Always a fascinating conversation with author Kate Sukel. Let's keep the conversation rolling and going on Twitter. You can find her at Kate Sukel, KAYTSUKEL. Next week, I'd love to have you back, and we can talk about the science of the lottery in our brains and how we process that. What do you think?
Oh, I would love to, because you know what? I just bought a lottery ticket today, and I have a feeling this is going to be it.
Well, if you win, you'll still do the interview, right?
Of course.
Kate, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Life is always moving and shaking right here in Wenz World. Without further ado, the very latest. The following are the don'ts and do's of exceptionally eccentric leadership. Kim Chung II, former supreme leader of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, better known as North Korea. This guy was all about absolute power. He wanted to be glorified by his people as pretty much as God on earth. So, he had a famous director's wife kidnapped from South Korea and brought into North Korea. Now, the unhappy husband made his way into the country in order to save his wife. Once he arrived, he realized that he was prisoner. Him and his wife worked together to collaborate and make 7 movies for the supreme leader, many of which deified Kim Chung II. These were propaganda films. The last was kind of a knockoff of the movie Godzilla. It was entitled Pulgasari. The Supreme Leader was so pleased by this quote-unquote masterpiece that he allowed the director and his wife to take a business trip to Vienna. Surprisingly, once the director and his wife got to Vienna, they went straight to the American embassy and never returned to North Korea. Now, here are some leadership lessons that we can apply from this case study to our own lives. If we ever get the opportunity to kidnap a Steven Spielberg or Judd Apatow, capitalize on that opportunity. But don't get duped when your prisoners ask to leave and go somewhere, because they're not coming back. So, in this case study, Mr. Spielberg wants to run to Subway because he's hungry. I would say, no, Mr. Spielberg, you may not go to Subway. I will go for you. Would you prefer a BMT or a meatball sub? The Supreme Leader got caught slipping because he ended up trusting those he held captive. Big mistake. However, I will give credit where credit is due. So, big points to Kim Jong II for his plan that actually worked. But those points automatically deducted for trusting his prisoners to not desert him when they were given a chance.
This is weird.
It sure is, Shamso. That's what we do here in Wenz World. We get weird. On the other end of this break, comedian Mike Loftus joins us from theflipsideshow.com. And then I head down to Turner Field to witness the very first time that interim manager Brian Snitker gets tossed from the game. And of course, we'll finish the show with heart, sweat, and lots of baby oil, our male soap opera moment featuring @Marquis A. Davis 1.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Wenz World. You're just living in it.
Mike Loftus, the one and only comic. How are you, buddy?
You have got him on the line. We are live. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, Joey here from Wenz World, a place in a distant galaxy where real questions are asked and real answers are sought after. I'm not sure if Mike Loftus Comic heard about a specific hashtag going down this week, hashtag hold the floor. What does all this entail, in your opinion, Mike?
This is the Democrats in the House, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, it's always a great idea, he said, being super sarcastic. When you're incredibly emotional, that's the time you want to start talking about passing laws. It is the worst idea in the history of ideas. Like, literally, I think I don't think all the victims have been buried yet. And they're like, we got to pass a law. The exact time when you don't want to pass a law.
Well, never let a good crisis go to waste, especially when you're in politics.
Absolutely. That is the way of the Democrats. That's the way of, wasn't that Obama's advisor said that? Wasn't that a Rahm Emanuel guy who said that?
Yeah, that definitely isn't too vague in my memory past there. But, I mean, this isn't the first time a bunch of politicians have sat around doing nothing, right?
Right. And they're having Pop-Tarts delivered and food is being brought in. And they're like, you're not allowed to televise it, but they're getting crazy. They're putting it on Periscope. Look at them go. It's the worst. They're literally talking about getting rid of due process. You have been accused of a crime. Just because you've been accused of crime, we're going to put you on a list, and we're going to start taking away your rights as an American. Incredibly frightening.
Well, this is what bugs me, because I think on a surface level, most people would read this headline and think they're up to good, right? They're trying to do something good for America in the long run, expand background checks, shut down the ability for people that have been on the terror watch list at any point to own a weapon. But the thing is, and let me adjust my tinfoil hat here for a second. Eventually, wouldn't anybody that runs contrary in the thought process to the current administration, whether that be now or 10 years from now, be considered somebody to be worthy of on a watch list?
Absolutely. And then if they pass a law that says you can do this, then you've established a legal precedent for doing it. But you're exactly right. People, your casual, everyday person is going to turn on the news, and they're going to go, look at these congressmen trying to do good, and these horrible Republicans are trying to stop them.
A common sense approach. You can't stop people from killing people. I think it was just earlier this week in China, a guy went on a knife spree and killed several dozen people.
Dude, more people get killed by knives than they do with rifles. Okay? Handguns is still, I think, up there. But more people get killed by knives than they do with rifles, and more people get beaten to death than with knives. And if you want to talk about leading cause of death, let's talk about the number 3 leading cause of death is some kind of medical malpractice, some kind of mistake that the hospital makes or the nurse makes or the pharmacist makes. But I tell you what, they're literally attacking the Bill of Rights, and people are going to applaud them.
Well, it's their party, and they'll cry if they want to. But isn't this country all about checks and balances? I mean, we have 3 branches of government for a reason, and they've already cast a vote on gun bills that have already been shut down. I think it was this last Monday. 4 partisan gun measures, all shut down. So at what point don't these politicians realize that, hey, okay, you brought it up, we voted on it, negated. Now, what do? Sit down and start crying and sit in a circle, kumbaya for 12 hours? Where do we go from here?
Well, here's where we go. This is all. Let me put on my tinfoil hat. It's a win-win for the Democratic Party, right? Mm-hmm. Because they tried to do something, and the Republicans are viewed as trying to oppose it. And the Democrats are like, hey, we tried to save you, but the Republicans stopped us. So when everybody's congressional seat is coming back up and their Senate seat is coming back up, they've got all this wonderful footage. Here's me. I was there till 3 o'clock in the morning trying to save your life. And this guy, my opponent, is trying to literally kill you.
Oh.
Who are you going to vote for?
I can see the commercial now, Mr. Loftus. Okay, here we go.
Absolutely.
We'll start with the black and white. The Republicans supported terror acts by opposing stricter gun restrictions. Cue color TV. But this Democrat sat in a circle for 12 hours trying to save you and your children. Mike Loftus, at Mike Loftus Comic on Twitter. Of course, your website, theflipsideshow.com. I mean, it's so black and white to anybody that's really paying attention. I mean, I'm a gun owner. I'm not a gun freak. I won't take it to the airport and wave it around like Ted Nugent. This is a Second Amendment right. It's in the Bill of Rights. So it's kind of a big deal to me.
It's number 2, and it protects all your other rights. And it's not for self-defense, and it's not for hunting. It's for protection against a giant government who thinks they know more than you do.
And I know I sound crazy. All right, all you people shaking your heads, you freaking righty. Okay, look, I'm a libertarian, but I can also see the writing on the wall here. And this is a step, slowly but surely. How do you kill a frog? You don't throw them in the boiling water. You throw them in the pot of cool water. Then you slowly turn up the heat. Before long, you got frog legs, right?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
At what point are people going to start to see the truth, the phantom behind the opera here, and realize that slowly but surely these are measures the government is taking, trying to convince us that we don't know what's best for ourselves?
Unfortunately, you and I, we need to figure out a way to express that idea, because it's a long thought, right?
Yeah.
Now if you're just a regular guy or girl and you're driving to work, you can see it on a billboard. A senator standing there, he's been up all night, he's sweating, he's like, he tried to save your life and pass a common sense. They always say common sense.
Right.
Like they've been using that now for months. They're trying to hey, it's just common sense. It's just common sense.
It's brilliant marketing. I got to give them that.
It is.
They are very smart.
And dude, they're all on the same page because it was the governor of Virginia about 3 months ago. I remember listening to him talk, and he said common sense like 8 times. I'm like, oh, okay, this is for real, because now they have a little catchphrase for it. You can show that idea rather quickly. A lot of people aren't going to stop and think about it. So here's the brilliant thing, and once again, it takes forever. The Founding Fathers were very concerned about knee-jerk reaction. That's why they didn't have just the president and just the Congress, right? You got the Congress and the Senate.
Yep.
So if anybody has a real wackadoodle idea, you don't go, let's vote, go, go, go. That's mob rule, right? That's just mob rule. Cooler heads have to prevail. You don't bring up gun control legislation when 50 people were killed the day before. Yeah. Are you crazy?
But it is a great way to capitalize on a tragic event and get what you want done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because people are still hot. People are still mourning. Look, I don't know what it's like to lose a close family member or loved one to gun violence. I don't. But I can also see that, hey, something far worse in the future could happen to this country if we give up our only defense against a government so large, a military so large, a police force so large. And you know what? They are under orders.
Dude, I just watched the documentary about Tiananmen Square, right? And all those wonderful, freedom-loving people, they went in, they camped in Tiananmen Square. And I tell you, the Chinese government made sure they did it in the middle of the night, and the cameras weren't on. And I've seen still photos of it, of like army men in these big vehicles, and there's like a regular like Chinese working class dude, like he's like telling the guy, you can't shoot your fellow citizens. We're all Chinese. We're all on the same team. We're trying to make this a better China for everybody. And they murdered hundreds of people.
And that wasn't that long ago, 1989, right?
Yeah. Yeah, don't think they won't turn their weapons on the regular citizenry. They'll do it. They'll do it.
My heart goes out to people in Orlando. It goes out to anybody that's ever lost a loved one, family member, a close friend to gun violence. Believe me, people, trust me, I try to be as level-headed as possible. You got to look at the arc of this, right? It's not as simple as protection. There are deeper issues at play here, and this is the first step to put me, you, and at Mike Loftus Comic on a list. Because if you have an opinion that is contrary to those in power, look out. This is the first step to disarm this citizenry of the United States of America.
I'm going to back you up in more ways than you know. I'm going to back you so up it's huge. It's going to make your head spin. If you disagree with the official party line now, you're already in trouble. I don't know if you knew this. If you write a letter to the editor, to the LA Times, and you say, you know what? Global warming, I don't think it's a thing because there's a problem with this data and that data. They refuse to publish your article, your letter. The LA Times has publicly said, if you disagree with climate change, we will not we will not tolerate your opinion. In textbooks, I think it's in Oregon and in Washington, in textbooks, there's a movement now, and I think they just won, that they're going to say climate change is a fact. It is a fact. If you disagree with it, you're a quack.
Here's the thing. You know, I can't argue that the climate is changing. But what I can argue with Al Gore and company, who have made millions and millions of dollars off this scheme, is that it has nothing to do with what I do with hairspray, with my car. These are natural phenomenons that have occurred on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. Guess what? Without human beings even being on the earth. I mean,
yes.
And it's appalling, and it's sick that they use these kinds of things. And that's a great example of the government never letting a good crisis go to waste. And whether it be Republicans or Democrats, I'm not even saying that Republicans aren't out to take my rights away eventually, because I feel like all these politicians, it's like a wrestling match. They get out there with a microphone. I'm going to kick your butt at WrestleMania, brother. And then at backstage, hey, let's go grab a beer and a steak. I'm starving. Right?
Absolutely. And let's make sure that our buddies get the good contracts.
Exactly.
And government spending can get a little bit bigger, and we can borrow this much money. Yeah, it's the same old, same old.
I am so glad that we connected
today. It's cathartic. You know, it's cathartic.
On the lighter side, though, this guy is hilarious. Check out his comedy, theflipsideshow.com. It is so funny, but also relevant because he incorporates real life issues into his comedy. He's not left. He's not right. He's correct.
Well, dude, and like, here's what I'm trying to do, and I appreciate you bringing that up. With the TV show, right? Like, I'm on this little channel, U2 America. It's on DirecTV, and it's on Time Warner. You can find it. You got to go out of your way to find it. But all I'm trying to do is, like, talk about these issues in a comedic light, in a way where somebody can stumble across it, right? Because you never hear this stuff. Unfortunately, you have to go out of your way to find this stuff. I'm trying to do something in the entertainment field, in the mainstream media. It's politics, it's comedy, it's entertaining, and hopefully somebody will think about these views in a different way.
Mike, man, that is so encouraging. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, folks, keep the conversation flowing and going on Twitter at Mike Loftus Comic. And, of course, check out his TV show, theflipsideshow.com. And let's have you back for a return visit to Wenz World in the very near future. What do you say?
Let's do it. I'm fired up now, man.
I know.
Got me fired up. I'm ready to take on the world.
I'm sorry. I do it. I do it to people. I do it to myself. My heart's jumping now. I need to go hit the stairs and run.
There you go, man. Hey, I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Awesome. Have a great day, Mike.
You too, buddy.
Friends, there is absolutely nothing like heading down to the ballpark to catch a Major League Baseball game. I headed down to Turner Field on Thursday to catch the Braves and the Mets. This night came with a lot of surprises along the way. I've heard of Christmas in July, but Christmas in June? I spotted Santa checking out the game from the terrace level.
Santa, you're away from the North Pole. I know it's June. Are you taking a vacation from Mrs. Claus?
I'm trying to stay away from her as much as possible right now. You know, it's summer cleaning and all that, and I don't want to do nothing like that.
Cleaning out the reindeer stables, eh?
Somebody has to, and Santa's not going to.
After the seventh inning stretch, things started heating up.
Brian Snitker wants to understand what's going on. He might have been thrown out of the game. Yep, he has been.
Manager Brian Snitker got thrown out of the game in the seventh inning for arguing against a challenge call that the Braves ended up losing. As Bonifacio was called out at home, the ruling upheld. He looked like he was about to lay the smackdown on the home plate umpire. I'm here to get fan reaction on what they think would be interim manager Brian Snitker's WWE finishing move.
It'd be the home run, and what he would do is he would like jump up, spin around, and like full do like a 360 kick spin into the guy's side's head, and that would knock him out. That's what would happen.
Dirty skunk. Ninja takedown all day. I feel like it would be a play on the people's elbow, like something with that.
The most electrifying move in sports entertainment, you say?
Of course, because Snitker is amazing.
I would say it would be the pedigree because it's down for the 1, 2, 3.
And we're at the game, so that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. The 69.
The 69! Snitker with a 69!
I like the Stone Cold stomach. Yeah, I just give him a stomach. Just good kick in the stomach and then grab him out of his neck and just rah.
It's pretty obvious. Brian Snitker is a man of the people.
Yeah.
So the only thing that would fit that is the people's elbow. It has to be. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has trademarked that move, and I'm sure if you were to ask him, he would allow Brian Snitker to use that move. Full copyright infringement, wave it out the door.
I couldn't help myself. After the game, I headed down to the Braves clubhouse to get exclusive audio from Braves interim manager Brian Snitker.
You know, the replays, what they are, you know, and I had a little different view, I think, and it's just, I know it's not those guys out there, but it's one of those things that I just, you know, it's the right time, I thought. And like I say, them guys are laying it out there for me, and it's just, you know, it's a tough situation anymore with the replay. You're just kind of limited to... And, you know, every now and then, like, you may need to bend a little bit and just get it off your chest.
I love me some good old-fashioned wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is your male soap opera moment.
Estás escuchando la telenovela masculina con el productor Joey y Marquise Davis.
Oh, you know it, back again with the male soap opera moment. In studio with me now is the Bell. And in addition to the Bell is our personal wrestling encyclopedia, Mr. Marquis A. Davis 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble.
And rumble we have seen in the WWE. Good news and bad news, a double-edged sword here. The former champion Roman Reigns suspended until Battleground, exactly 1 month from today. Marquis, what impact do you think this is going to have on the universe?
I mean, only a small portion of the audience really do like Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
We love to boo him, just like we love to boo Seth Rollins, but then he came back, everybody loved to cheer him, but then he was like, shut up, don't cheer me.
Right.
I actually think that they knew about this suspension beforehand. That's why he dropped the belt to Rollins, and then in turn Rollins dropped the belt to Sloppy Dean.
Yeah, and it's a clean drop too.
Yeah, and I liked it. I had no quarrels with it. I wasn't upset about it. I kind of like the move of Dean Ambrose as champion, but I kind of don't like it as well.
And here's what's next. The writers, the creative portion of the WWE can take this in several directions. This time off, I would like to see them make this public on TV. They've already made it public on their website. Be honest with the universe about it, and don't play it off as an injury or a PR stunt. Just come out and tell us, hey, he's suspended. And this could be a great way to turn him heel.
Yes.
I would love that.
But if you turn him heel, then you're just going to have one strong babyface, and that'll be Sloppy Dean.
Yeah, that is a really, really good point. And one good thing about all this is that 30 days from now is Battleground. The triple threat still intact for right now, unless Dean Ambrose gets suspended or Rollins gets hurt, because he's not going to mess up. But I'm still having a really hard time believing in Dean Ambrose as my world heavyweight champion. What about you?
What's funny is that I can see Dean being a one-time, two-time champion, kind of like The Miz,
Yeah.
But you got AJ Styles and John Cena squaring off, and AJ Styles beat John Cena not cleanly, but he beat John Cena on a John Cena return, which doesn't happen. So I can see AJ Styles being the next big thing in WWE.
I mean, he is really turning heel nicely, and it's believable, too, using the club in that regard against the face that is Cena. Still the face, no pun intended, of the WWE. So, Marquis, in your opinion, Battleground a month away. In the meantime, they're killing time, obviously, because their face is wrapped up in some sort of scandal. And there's nothing been released as to what exactly it was. And look, I don't want to speculate. Could have been roids. Could have been something as simple as, a fat-burning supplement, a chemical in there.
I'll speculate. He probably did break their, drug abuse or drug substance policy, because that's the only way you get 30 days is because of that. Just like the NBA. You break a rule there, you get tested positive, you get around, 30-day suspension, 6-game suspension, something like that. Same thing here in wrestling.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I really do wonder what it was. It was funny, I was talking to a buddy of mine about Roman Reigns, and I was talking about how much the vest still bothers me.
Yeah.
And he said he had a really interesting insight. He said, you know what? I think it's because of his body type. He's part Samoan, part black. He comes from that lineage of The Rock Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And so his insight was that perhaps it's the pectoral area of his chest.
You know what's funny is people don't notice, but The Rock had breast surgery.
Really?
Yes. When he had the match against Mankind, when he wore his shirt the whole match, because he had just had the pectoral surgery.
Wow. And you know what? Sometimes it is just genetics, and there's not much people can do about it. That's one of the reasons it makes me think the suspension is completely based around some sort of fat-burning supplement that the WWE has banned.
Or it could be he's getting surgery.
Maybe. That could be it, too.
And they want to try to live up the bad guy hype, that people hate him so much, so they say, hey, we suspended him.
And then he comes back shirtless.
Yep.
And as a bad mother, know what?
Yep.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Male Soap Opera Moment. Thank you so much for listening. Again, follow the great Marquis A. Davis 1 on Twitter. Keep the conversation rolling and going there. And, of course, at Wenz World Radio. Thanks again, guys. Friends, I can't begin to tell you how honored and blessed I feel to be part of the K98 Talk family. We'll have a brand new episode of Wenz World up and ready by next Tuesday. In the meantime, follow the show on Twitter at Wenz World. Whiskey, elephant, narcolepsy, zebra, world.
Excellent! Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls? Start saving thousands in interest and fees and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
The leader in talk radio on the internet. Right here on K98Talk.com.